You are an Iron Man!
Welcome to episode 64, a review of the year that was 2025. The year started off on the 1st of January with episode number 38 with Desi McAleer. This proved to be a great start to the year. Much feedback from loads and loads of listeners following Desi's podcast. Quickly followed then by the legend that is Anne-Marie McGlynn. And we finished off January listening to the journey of Gemma Skeeth, our very own Oma triathlete, who made her debut on the Worlds following what was a fantastic Ironman adventure in Lanzarote. The highlight for me in January was Desi McAleer. Let's give ourselves a wee reminder of the crack that was Desi's podcast.
I remember getting ready the day before or the week before and getting everything sorted out. And I suddenly thought to myself, do you know something? Anytime I've done long distance, I'm in cycling shorts. I have never done that sort of distance in a tri-suit. And as you know yourself, the padding wouldn't be the same. Mm-hmm. I could be sore. So I went to Caldwell's and I bought a pair of cycling shorts, slightly bigger. Mm-hmm. So whenever we come out of the swim, into transition, got the wetsuit off, pulled on the cycling shorts, onto the bike. Oh, it was like an armchair. It was great.
Was this over the tri-suit?
Just over the tri-suit.
Aye, for extra padding.
Yeah, for extra padding.
Yeah.
Fantastic idea. Would recommend it to anybody for an extra 5 or 10 seconds. But.
Here comes the but.
Here comes the but. That was grand. Come down, got off the bike. Perfect. And on the runners, finished off the drink, out on the run, was feeling great, down along, first if you know the tri-limits course, you go out and you do the loop and you come back and you head out again. And I, as Billy Conway would say, I could feel a big jobby coming on.
Oh dear.
So there's a water stop down here and there's a toilet. Great job. So, and toilet was empty. And shorts down, sat down and thought, this doesn't feel right. Something not right here. Oh no! I thought I was wearing the tri-suit as well.
Jesus Christ. Oh.
Lesson learned.
Oh, fuck. And you were looking to get back into the water?
Yes. So that took a wee bit extra to get all sorted out. But we got back out and got back on the run. And on we went. So.
There'd have been some hum of you on the way home.
No, don't talk to me.
That's a good job you didn't podium that day. I hope that you weren't too far into your lunch whenever you were listening to that particular one. Great stuff. Mighty crack. What a legend. February followed. I linked in with the Running Fox, aka Mick Fox, and spoke to Keith Murphy, of course, as well. Keith reminded us about his absolutely remarkable journey from leukemia to Ironman. What a story. I remember the Facebook posts at the time.
Yes.
In the run-up to that Ironman, where it was yourself and it was from leukemia to Ironman. And I remember thinking to myself at that time, because that was 2014, I had joined Oma Triathlon Club in the winter of 2014 off the back of following that journey, because I was thinking to myself, this man has come through leukemia and he's got a second chance at life, and he's now going to complete an Ironman. And I thought this was one of the most amazing and inspirational things that I had ever seen or heard about. Yeah. And I knew that an Ironman was something absolutely nuts. And the fact that you were going to do it off the back of something that nearly took you out of the picture.
Yeah.
And it was a phenomenal thing. I remember you were raising money for charity, and there was loads and loads and loads of money raised at the time. I remember making a donation and following the thing, and I was buzzing to see all the photos. It was class.
And like I actually forgot, I'd done London Marathon in April as well. I'd run that at 3:15, and I was just like, I remember Brian Crystal kept going, there's a training run, keep it zone 2, be sensible. Yeah. So I run the first half. To be fair, see, whenever you looked at my heart rate data from afterwards, it was a perfect race. I'd started off nice, steady zone 2 and just built the whole way in, like it's almost just like a nice straight line from zone 2 to absolute balls out at the end.
Aye.
I remember coming round, looking at my watch, going, I'm on for a flipping deadly time here, coming past Buckingham Palace. Not big, like almost sprinting down through the finish line. It was just epic, like. And I ended up, I got to the finish line, I was chatting to the Tech Sergeant once, and I was explaining them, because I hadn't signed up through them to do the London Marathon, they didn't really know anything. I was chatting, just randomly chatting to them, and they were like, so I was telling them that I was going to do Ironman for them, then they're like, oh, come on ahead, and we went round the hospitality, you know. Landed in, it was like one of the first runners back for Tech Sergeant that day.
Brilliant.
So ended up in their social media and stuff for that. So yeah, had a really good run that day. Ironman Lanzarote was epic. And then sort of went off the back of that and just done loads of wee sprint distance, Olympic distance triathlons around the country. Belfast, Titanic, Ballyronan. Done 5 limits sprint at that time, and Keith and Bob had it. Done Try the Lock. And then I come away from that going, right, I need something else to do.
Absolutely inspirational stuff there from Keith, who continues to go from strength to strength, and of course has since represented Northern Ireland in the Transplant World Games. Brilliant stuff, Keith. Absolutely amazing. The month of March followed, and we had the pleasure of listening to Adam Ward. Adam's podcast was episode number 43. It proved actually to be the most downloaded and most listened to podcast of 2025 on Spotify. I actually don't have the stats for the listening numbers, the downloads and the plays across the other platforms that the podcast is shared to, so I can only go by with what I have. March also seen us linking in with Judith McComb and Emer Nichols. Fantastic sports that they were as well, and giving us a bit of insight into the world of the para triathlete. And we finished March off with Lucy Owen from Tri Limits Club. The highlight for me in March, probably listening to the words of wisdom of Adam Ward, and here's some of the highlights for me.
There's no magic session that I'm going to give you that's going to turn you into an animal on the bike. You know what I mean? It's like everything. It's just slowly chipping away at it, falling in love with riding your bike. There are a few things that could be changed, maybe with how you're training, what you're training. I think something that across all 3 sports, what people get caught up in is going too hard, sitting in that kind of zone 3, zone 2.5. And I think as well, sometimes it might be the culture with cycling, it might be the culture with training in a group. You'll find, and I kind of do see it, where you'll have guys going on a group ride and you're coming back with a 19, 20 mile an hour average in the middle of December. And I'm looking at that and I'm going, I've been cycling for a long time. I think I'm a strong cyclist, but, I'm never getting off my bike in December and I'm having a 20 mile an hour average on a ride. I'm just not riding that hard. And I think a lot of people would benefit a lot more from just, really easing off, really riding in zone 2, really slow and steady in those winter months to build that base. And it's like, the problem is if you're in that zone 3, upper zone 2, you're kind of, it's essentially what you're doing is you're not building your aerobic base and you're not really building your anaerobic systems either. You're kind of just riding hard for the sake of riding hard and you're not really getting either benefit out of the session. So it's like simple stuff, showing up every day, being consistent, taking your easy days easy and your hard days hard are all rules that are going to make you faster. And sometimes it just takes, a little bit of, specific look into your life, how your week looks, what you do for work, the time you have available to you, a custom training plan that fits around your life is always going to be better than a training plan that you need to fit your life around. There's some things that I can teach and tell you, but there's nothing, magic that I can say that's going to make you, make you an absolute animal on Sunday when you go out on the bike,
April followed shortly then We linked in with Judith McComb's twin sister, Chloe McComb. Absolutely amazing podcast, episode number 47. And April, personally, for me, was a big month. I was peaking in my own preparation for Ironman Lanzarote, and I linked in with the sports psychologist Benny McDevitt just to see where I was, how I was looking forward to the big event, and how my preparation was going. We also entered the Omaha Half Marathon, and it was a fantastic event for me personally. I was really chuffed and happy to be able to trot around the Omaha with my son Connor, who completed his first half marathon on the day. Absolutely standout memory for me personally. With regards to the podcast, let's give ourselves a wee reminder of some of those psychological tips that we can employ whenever things are getting tight on the run.
And there's a nice wee one I'd like to go on to here now, Mickey. I think I might have mentioned this briefly on the first one, but it's one of the first bits of sports psychology that was recognised from the Tour de France. It was a cyclist called Jens Voigt. Hopefully I've said that right. But he was a cyclist, and they asked him about, how was he able to sustain such a strong pace and so on. He just told his legs to shut up.
Right.
He shut up legs, So there's a very simple, effective option of tell your legs when they're feeling heavy, shut up legs. I'm not. You can build on that then, and you can go with like maybe a positive. Like, so if you tell your legs to shut up, it's like sending away the message of heavy legs. Or you could try and use a positive. It's like, no, I'm strong. My legs are strong. But it's just always something stuck for me when I first started. I wasn't even looking into psychology or had an interest in sports psychology. But yeah, Jens Voigt, told his legs to shut up, and he was able to complete or participate well in the Tour de France, And, these strategies, I would say to a lot of the athletes I work with, they sound daft and silly until they don't work, So I actually had a youth swimmer working with them recently. Again, no confidentiality and all that, but they struggled on the blocks, sick with nerves, and we came up with a strategy. Obviously, got towards it, and I met up with them a few weeks ago, and they told their stomach to shut up. They got rid of the feeling, and they had a PB, ahead of they've got regional championships coming up now, Brilliant. So sometimes it's the more simple things that can stick with you are more effective, because you could have all these great psychological mental skills, but if you can't apply them, and if they're not effective, and if you don't believe in them, then they're irrelevant, So there's maybe one you could just shut up legs, and whether you say it out loud or you say it into yourself, that's maybe one to practice, and that obviously works on the cycle and the swim as well.
Phenomenal stuff there from Benny. Just tell your legs to shut up. Couldn't be any easier. The month of May followed. Big month for me. Ironman Lanzarote. The month got off to a good start. We had a podcast with Chris Gilroy, if you can remember, our VO2 Max expert. Absolutely amazing stuff. Loads and loads of information for all you technical nerds out there. Episode 49. Anybody that was interested to find out how I got on in Lanzarote, check out episode 50. Here's what I had to say shortly after the event. And the finish line experience was absolutely class. They had a grandstand finish, two viewing galleries either side of the red carpet. A nice big red carpet it was too. And you actually come down onto the red carpet and go around a cone and go back up the ramp. So you get a wee taster of what that finish line looks like. So you're looking forward to that moment. You know what it looks like. And when you're coming down there that last time, this noise and the lights, the music, the wee guy that comes out to meet you on the carpet dancing and pumping, absolutely phenomenal, absolutely mighty moment. A great photograph. Just as I was running down to the finish line, I actually noticed my wife and my two boys, Peter and Shane. I could see them up on the. They couldn't see me because they had their backs to me, but I recognized them and I knew where they were. So you might see the wee video of me on Instagram or whatever, going down and I'm pointing up to them to let them know that I see you guys, you're there, and I'm blowing them a kiss and cross the line. And that moment was amazing. You know, that was me saying thanks to them for their support and for, you know, backing me and coming out to support me, and also thanking them and acknowledging for the sacrifices that I have made and the times that I have been out on a bike for 4 or 5 hours on a Sunday, you know, and family time that I've missed, to allow me to train for that. So it was absolutely amazing, all in all. Absolutely delighted that I got through it okay. Things have calmed down a wee bit since that. As many of you know, I've signed up for Ironman Barcelona later on in the year. And at the time, I suppose I did say that I would never go back to Lanzarote. I think now that the dust has settled, I probably will at some point. Not in the near future. I have other plans between now and then, but I'll never say never again, as the old saying goes. The month of June, we did go back to the future, one of those special episodes where we caught up again with some of our previous guests just to see how they got on during the events that they had mentioned that they were looking forward to at the time of their original podcast. So we linked in there with Explosive Joseph, Carl Farker, Bear Carton, and Ian Moffat. Brilliant episode, good fun, and great to catch up with the guests again. July seen us linking in with the Westmeath Ironman, Ambrose Duggan, absolutely amazing guy who's gone from strength to strength. Everybody and anybody that follows the Westmeath Ironman will know that 2025 has been an exceptional year for Ambrose. Absolutely well done, Ambrose. Fantastic achievement. Banging out some unbelievable events over the year and qualifying for Kona, of course, which has obviously been the highlight for Ambrose. Personally, myself and Connor, we tackled the Hillsborough Half Marathon in July. Quite an enjoyable course in the grounds of Hillsborough Castle, sort of 5k off trail, out in the roads, out and back over rolly hills, and you finish back in the forest. So highly recommended. Nice wee course, good fun, and great to do it again with Connor. August is always the month that we look forward to most in Omagh Triathlon Club. Our very own Try the Lock took place. Always takes place the first Saturday in August. Again, another amazing event, well run by the club, well received by everybody that participated. Podcast-wise, we got to learn a wee bit more about Stephen Chisholm in episode 53, and it was a big month for Omagh Triathlon Club. We linked into loads of the members, tapping into the excitement ahead of a big club event journey to Ironman Copenhagen. You can listen to that on episode 54. And then, of course, the reflections on Copenhagen captured in episode 55. Special shout out there to Velo Yellow, who provided the transport for all the bikes going to Ironman Copenhagen. Absolutely amazing service. I said I would give them a wee plug, so there you go, guys. Give them a shout. Hassle-free transport to and from events across Europe. And after the handling I had with my bike going to and from Ironman Lanzarote, I certainly will be using Velo Yellow in the future. Another half marathon for me and the Cub ticked off in August as well. We did the Antrim Coast half marathon. Anybody that did it will remember that it was a particularly hot day, so any aspirations we had of getting a PB was knocked on the head at about mile 5. So good to get round it, and another day out with the Cub, so nothing lost. September saw us linking in with Chris Wild. Chris Wild, wild by name, wild by nature, wild crack. I don't think I could have got another guest who was more fitted to the show than Chris Wild. Mullaghmore Triathlon, of course, was one of the events, along with Rock the Lock half marathon that I participated in. Particularly enjoyed the Rock the Lock. I got a PB for my half marathon in September, and we wrapped up the month of September listening to Conor Maguire, who was recounting his journeys from Copenhagen to the Worlds in Nice. Here's a wee reminder of some of the antics that Chris Wilde got up to back in September.
Iron Maiden were headlining a festival at Nebworth, which used to be a very renowned venue, which is in the home counties just outside London. And I don't like to miss it when they tour. And they weren't doing a tour that year. This was their only show in the UK that year. So it's like, well, could I do this? I've already signed up for Ironman Bolton. By the time this has been announced, it's like, well, I had a really good race in Lanzarote. I reckon I could get down there in time for Iron Maiden. Friday night, Alice Cooper was headlining. So we went down and you can't not see Alice Cooper if you've got tickets. So yeah, Friday night we went down and watched Alice Cooper. But I had to rack on Saturday. So we drove home from Nebworth up to Preston, which is about 4.5 hours at that time of night. So then Saturday morning, racked the bikes, drove back down again. I think Motley Crue were playing. Rammstein headlined. So as you'll find in most training manuals and what most coaches will tell you is the night before an Ironman, the best thing you can do is be jumping around to mad German heavy metal with pyrotechnics at about 11 p.m. at night, probably 200 miles away from where your race is happening. So from there, we drove to the swim start at Bolton. I probably had 2 hours kip in the back of the van. Got up, did the Ironman with my ears still ringing, finished, stupidly waited for a good friend, clubmate to finish rather than just getting straight off and going. And the missus, bless her, she'd come along and had a sleepless night, and she managed to sleep in the van for some of the day, but she was absolutely knackered. So we got in the car, got about an hour down the motorway, and she went, "You're going to have to drive." And I was like, but rigor mortis is setting now. I've just done an Ironman, I've been sat in a car for an hour.
Really?
So yeah, then drove down to Nebworth. The event organisers, it was a festival called Sonosphere, which doesn't happen anymore. They were amazing. I got in touch with them and said, I'm doing this really stupid thing. But I said, is there any way I can get kind of in and out quickly? So they gave me a press pass. So I could just literally drive in to the edge of the site and then just go in with my press pass. So I think as we parked the car, I was putting my big New Rock boots on just as they came on stage. So we missed the first number of Iron Maiden. I wasn't allowed to know my medal. She said, "You'll break your teeth headbanging."
Oh, that's magic. The idea that you're on a podcast called From Iron Maiden to Iron Man, only you decided to do it in reverse. You went and done an Iron Man and then went to Iron Maiden.
Yeah. And the most surreal thing was...
Brilliant.
I was absolutely ravenous afterwards, as you can imagine, running on adrenaline and fumes. So we went to one of the little dirty Chinese takeaway, and I'm sitting propped up against a bin, kind of, almost passed out. I looked at my watch, and I was like, there's still people doing Ironman Bolton. We haven't reached the cut-off time. We're still before midnight.
Man.
Yeah, that was a bit surreal.
October seen us linking in with Stevie McKenna, and we linked in with Keith Williams in episode 59. Moving forward into November, we met and listened to the journey of Paul McCormick. Absolutely amazing journey from Paul. Lots and lots of examples of resilience and strength and overcoming life curveballs in episode 60. And we also got to have a chat with Kieran Lappin in episode 61, of course, who completed his 5 Ironman distance triathlons in 5 days earlier on in the year. Absolutely amazing. Here's some of Paul's highlights.
At the end of that year, I said to myself, right, I'm going to do loads of running over the winter here. And that's how I ended up doing the 4 marathons in the 6 weeks. Culminating in Dublin, and that was the winter. Coming into the winter of 2009, and we had already entered Ironman Nice. Go for a nice easy one. So we had entered Nice, myself and Desi, for 2010, and so I had a fairly good winter's training over 2009 into Christmas into January. I was going at it, like running, biking, in the pool, real good discipline, eating healthy, losing weight. Everything was, because I'm a big lad. Like, I was a heavyweight kickboxer and at times dropped to middleweight, but I'm a big unit. Like, if anybody sees me at a triathlon, you can pick me out fairly quickly, like in the photographs, because I am a big looking unit.
Getting out of your way. People are getting out of your way when you're in the swim, like.
Well, they still don't. But it's funny. I'm waiting for a new. They've brought in Hyrox and they've brought in something else. I'm waiting for a triathlon where you have to fight a man in transition. That would be very perfect. If they could bring that in, I'll be in the element.
December, at the end of the year, we bumped into Lars Ronin. Lars was my first international guest, a Danish athlete. Some amazing stories from Lars. And we finished the year off with a podcast from the legend that is GT, aka Jared Turbot. Jared is a well-respected triathlete in Omagh, and anything that he doesn't know isn't worth knowing with regards to triathlon. Here's some of Lars's highlights.
So I signed up for some trail events in the UK called Pilgrims Challenge. And that's an event that's being put on every year in the first weekend in February, which is 106 kilometers over 2 days. So I've done that about 6 times or 7 times. And it was at one of those Pilgrim Challenge events that I happened to sleep next to somebody at this school hall where you stay the night, who had been doing MDS, so Marathon des Sables. And I didn't know what Marathon des Sables was back then, but it's an ultra in the desert where you run 250 kilometers self-supported. So you need to carry all the food, all your clothes, your sleeping bag, your sleeping mat, everything you need for a week. The only thing, they give you water, and then they move the camp overnight to a new location. So I signed up for that and did that. And it was for Marathon des Sables that I got introduced to, as you mentioned, depletion training. So again, I'm trying to surround myself with people who've got experience. So for Marathon des Sables, I found this guy. His name is Andy Mounsey, and he's the first person who did the Arc to Arc triathlon, which starts in London. You swim the Channel, and then you finish at near Arc de Triomphe in Paris.
Yeah.
So and he's also done MDS. So I signed him up as a coach, and he introduced me to depletion training, which is all about teaching your body to go further and further on less and less energy. So eventually I was able to almost run a marathon on no more than a couple of bottles of water and an energy bar or a gel, because I wanted to train my body to be as efficient as possible.
That wraps up the podcasts for the year. The one thing that would look forward to in 2026 is the linking in with more people. If you or your club want to come on to the podcast and share a journey, share your story, talk about your events, talk about your journey to Ironman or even triathlon for that matter, please don't be shy in getting in touch with me through the Facebook or Instagram pages. I'd be more than happy to have a chat and set up a recording. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my sponsor for 2025, Vitalize in Omagh, a company that provide intramuscular injections and IV vitamin infusions. Highly recommended, particularly at this time of year whenever we're off season. Our bodies are in recovery mode. and we're susceptible to flus and the likes. Get that high dose of vitamin C into you, get the magnesium into you, get all those B vitamins, the B12, the collagen, etc., etc. Give the girls a shout in Vitalise in Omagh. Guys, that's all I have for 2025. I want to thank you all very, very much for showing some support to me personally and the support that you've shown to the podcast over the year. And I look forward to bringing you some more episodes in 2026.